Every last Friday of Ramadan, the Shiites globally hold their Quds procession in solidarity with Palestine, which has been in a decades-long war with Israel. They also protest against the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories. However, in Nigeria, Shiites find themselves in a pretty complicated position. The Federal High Court in Abuja in 2019 ordered the proscription of the Shiites movement. Justice Nkonye Maha issued the order in a ruling in which she also designated the activities of the Shiite organization in any part of Nigeria as, quote, acts of terrorism and illegality, end quote. This has not stopped the group from carrying out its processions right here in the nation's capital. And with each procession, there are reports of clashes between the Shiites and our security personnel. The latest was the violent clash between security agents and members of the Shiite Islamic movement of Nigeria on Friday last week, leading to the death of at least one person, according to security reports. The Shiites say many of the bodies of their members were carried away. So today, we try to understand what's really going on here. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. Let's begin with a rundown of the major stories from Nigeria's seat of power.
We begin on Sunday when President Bola Tinubu urged Nigerians, particularly the Muslims, to continue with the deeds taught during the month of Ramadan. He made a call after observing the Eid al-Fitr prayers at the National Eid Prayer Ground, Abuja.
We started together and we are ending together in good health and in happiness. In prayers for our country, for all our people. We should continue the good deed as taught by the holy month of Ramadan. Care for the vulnerable, the orphans, the less privileged, everything that we have observed. We should not revert to the path that is not acceptable with the teaching of this man.
The president had earlier expressed deep appreciation to Nigerians for their outpouring of goodwill and prayers as he marked his 74th birthday. At a special iftar held in his honor on Saturday night at the presidential villa, President Tinubu thanked guests for their presence, prayers and contributions to the nation's development. The gathering included Vice President Kashim Shettima, ministers, principal officers of the National Assembly, current and former governors, diplomats, business leaders, religious figures, and some of the president's childhood friends. Acknowledging the challenges he faced on his path to the presidency, President Tinubu reaffirmed his commitment to advancing Nigeria's progress, promising to work harder. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has removed the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, Mr. Mele Kyari, and approved Engineer Bashir Bayo Ojulari as his replacement. In what has been described as a sweeping reconstitution of the petroleum company, the president also removed all other board members, appointing a new board with Ahmadu Musa Kida as non-executive chairman. All the appointments are effective from April 2, 2025. In a statement signed by the presidential aide Bayo Onanuga, President Tinubu invoked the powers granted under Section 59, subsection 2 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, emphasizing that the board's reconstruction is crucial for enhancing operational efficiency, restoring investor confidence, driving economic growth, and advancing gas commercialization and diversification. And to other stories, a 15-year-old special needs child, Kanyeya Chukwutagbo Okeke, has set a Guinness Book of Records for painting the largest painting on canvas. The canvas, which covers a 12,303 square meters, is described by the Guinness Book of Records as the giant canvas in the world. Speaking during the exhibition at the Eagle Square, Abuja, the Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy, Annatu Musawa, says the feat shows the resilience and creativity of Kanye, irrespective of his challenge as a special needs person. Dignitaries at the event included members of the Diplomatic Corps, the United Nations, and former Minister of State for Education, Mr. Chukwuemeka Nwajuba. And as Nigeria joined the rest of the world to celebrate World Police Day, the Nigeria Police Force has emphasized the need for active community collaboration to strengthen security and ensure peace across the country. The World Police Day 2025, according to the Force Public Relations Department, will include a police community outreach, an exhibition at Eagle Square, a walkathon, and a grand finale event on April the 7th. Speaking at the outreach event in Jukoi, a satellite town in the Federal Capital Territory, the FCT Commissioner of Police, Mr. Ajao Adewale, stressed that security cannot be effectively achieved by law enforcement agencies alone and called for synergy between the police and the community.
Welcome back. Joining us for the conversation on the security agencies and Shiites conundrum is Dr. Peter Olumuji. Dr. Peter Olumuji, welcome again to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you for having me.
I want to be able to talk about what happened with the Shiites that particular day. And, you know, it's not the first time, it's not the second time, it's not the third time. Let's get the details of what exactly happened at Busetu.
Well, you know, the Shiite group are proscribed by the government, and then that prescription is still subsisting. It has not been lifted. And any group that has been proscribed does not even have that right to move around the way they moved around. And you should know that so many residents of the FCT always complain, even when they go out on their procession, because they see them infringing on their own rights of free movement.
Blocking the roads.
Blocking the roads and the rest. And we also saw what happened that day at the Banex, you know, still the same thing, infringing on the residents' rights. And before you know, they started attacking the law enforcement agents.
Who started it?
You should know that when you infringe on people's rights, the residents were, they were not happy with that, because those that had appointments were not able to meet up with the appointment. And you know, the agitation will start even from the residents. And the law enforcement are meant to maintain law and order. And when they came in to maintain law and order, these people saw them as antagonizing their procession. And before you know, they started attacking it. You saw the press statement from the FCT
the press
police
statement says
command.
That. It says that they started stoning the security operatives that were there. You know, but we started thinking, you know, because it's almost like the same thing happening every single time they have their processions. This particular procession is that one that they do on the last day of Ramadan. They do it everywhere around the world. Now, when this procession was happening, so the police were not informed. They didn't take any excuse. Did they have any waiver from the police for them to do any of these processions?
I don't think the police will grant them waiver when they are a proscribed group already.
So it was unlawful.
It was unlawful for them to even have moved that, because I had to ask the police authority if they have that right to carry on that procession. And they told me that these people are proscribed groups, so they don't even have that right. And infringing on people's rights, you know, definitely there's agitation from even those innocent road users, like every one of us too. And, you know, whenever they go on that procession, there's this apprehension in the mind of everyone moving around. And you hear different side of the story. But you should know that the law enforcement agents are always there to ensure that things are done properly.
Let's talk about that prescription. I remember it was after the death of Precious Owolabi. And I remember that at the time, you know, a lot of people were saying, wait, prescribing them that what happened? You know, are they a terrorist organization? Why are they proscribed, really?
Well, I would not want to go into the nitty-gritty here, you know, because I'm here to really talk on what happened in the FCT and not outside the FCT. But one thing...
No, that happened in the FCT. It happened in front of Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
I know. But again, you know, when it comes to a matter of law, one would have to be very, very careful so that I will not delve into what I'm not authorized to also talk about. But the main issue which we want our people to know is that as much as these people want to carry on their routine procession, they should also know that they infringe on other people's rights. And the police and other sister agencies will always come in to ensure that you don't infringe on other people's rights, because where your own right stops, that's where another person's rights starts from. And you should also know that in law, everybody have their own rights. So you cannot use your own freedom to infringe on my own freedom. And that is what I want to just talk about.
The official statement is that they cannot protest, carry out any processions or gatherings. Is it just within the city center, or are they allowed to do it outside of the city center?
The prescription was not even announced by the FCTA administration. I hope you know that it's by the federal government.
Yes,
you know, so it applies to every state of the federation.
So they're not supposed to be doing any processions anywhere.
That's just it.
So why do they continue?
Well, they know better.
Is there going to be a solution to this?
I want to advise that the only solution is for them to obey the law. And if they feel that prescription is affecting their procession that they carry on, they should go back to the courts and get it vacated. I think that's the simple way and the best way to carry on that.
Let's talk about casualties for this particular one.
Yes. You know, when they attack, they attacked the law enforcement agents, and from the press statement, one was fatally injured, and today.
What about from their side? Because we're seeing statements from them also on social media saying that the bodies of their fellow comrades were being carted away. They're saying the casualties are more on their side. Is there any kind of update on that?
Well, we're still waiting for police investigation to reveal that.
So there's an investigation going on.
There's an investigation going on, because it's not just attacking the law enforcement agent and also killing one. We also have other innocent citizens that their properties were destroyed during the fracas. And that has been it. You remember what happened at Wuse Market, where 3 police officers doing their lawful duty were also hacked down by this same group, and the property of the police force was also destroyed. So we want to advise them that in as much as they want to carry on with their procession, which they believe is their religious right, they should also go back to the law courts and vacate that order of prescription. Yes, I think that is the best way to go, so that we are all living in a sane environment, and Abuja is a peaceful place. We don't want anyone to come and create that apprehension in the minds of the residents of the FCT.
A fatality on the side of the security agencies. Were they carrying weapons, these Shiites?
If you know their modus operandi, they use every available weapons to attack. Every available weapons to attack, So do we have any record of them carrying guns or anything like that? Is it just stones and sticks like we hear that they do? Because that's what they say. They say we don't have any weapons. Well, the police press statement stated all what they were using to attack the security agents.
That's very worrisome. It's pretty worrisome, but I'm trying to think of a lasting solution to this problem, because I feel like I've had this particular conversation every single year.
That's true.
So apart from them doing their bit, which is what you said, go to the court and vacate this judgment against you, is there any other way law enforcement can handle this? So we don't have citizens every year, their cars are being destroyed, shops are being stoned, people are being injured, people are dying. Every time this recurring decimal happens. Is there any out-of-the-box thinking from the side of security that you think can help this situation? At least, I don't know what I used to say, mitigate the impact of the war of the clashes, because the clashes apparently will continue. Is there any way out of this? Should the police be handling it differently?
The police and other sister agencies come out to handle it differently. And how do they handle it? To ensure that there's no breakdown of law and order, and for it not to affect the residents of the FCT. But you should also know that when these people see the law enforcement agent out, they believe this is our arch enemy, and the best thing is not to listen to them, is to just throw caution to the wind. So the police and the other state agencies have been doing their professional job by creating that atmosphere of ensuring that law and order is not broken. But when the other party decides to go haywire, what do you expect?
I do hope that some kind of lasting solution comes to this particular matter. But we'll go on a short break now.
Thank you.
When we come back from that break, we'll be talking more about FCTA and the security situation in the nation's capital. Please stay with us on Dateline Abuja. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Dateline Abuja right here on Channels Television, and we have Dr. Peter Olumuji from the FCT Command and Control Center talking to us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For being with us in the program.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about FCT security. An update on our suburbs. Let's start from there. The last time we had this conversation, there were people in the suburbs who were scared of an influx of beggars from all over the place. We do see in the FCT, at least in the city center, that the FCT authorities are picking up beggars everywhere. Yes, the numbers have reduced, but on Sundays, they come back out again. I see them running whenever they see the cars from the FCT security office, doing what they can. So let's get the update on that influx situation. Is that mitigated now?
Yes, and remember there's a ministerial committee that was set up by the Honorable Minister, His Excellency Yeson Wike, and that committee is to look into the Almajiri system. And there's no way you can talk about the Almajiri system without also diving into the beggars within the city. And that committee, headed by the Commissioner of Police, FCT, are working, and part of the resolution and their recommendation to the minister will really help to curtail the influx of these beggars and Almajiri within the FCT, either from the suburb, where most of these Almajiri schools are located, or within the FCC, basically. And we should also understand that once you are able to curtail this, it adds to the security improvement, of the FCT, which is also a critical point. And like we saw other security issues in the FCT, you saw the last Salah break, the Salah celebration, it was peaceful. There was no untoward security breach or within the FCT. So it shows that the security of FCT has improved greatly under the leadership of the Honorable Minister, Barrister Yeson Wike.
I mean, at this point, it's important for people to understand the distinction between beggars and Almajiris.
The distinction between the Almajiri and the beggars is that the Almajiri system is an educational system, that is recognized by law. In fact, there is a commission, a federal commission for the Almajiri system, in which they train them. But we realize that some of these heads, the leaders, or those that superintend over these schools, have lost that particular touch. And most of these students that are meant to be in the Almajiri school, now find themselves on the streets. So they now leave the good idea of the Almajiri system and become street beggars, street children.
At the time when the Almajiri Commission was created, if memory serves me properly, I think it was headed by Jafaru Issa, former governor of Kaduna State. Okay. The harmonization, because at the time the conversation was about how to harmonize the Almajiri schools into mainstream schools, and how we can actually make it formal in a way. That way you can have more accountability from these leaders that you're talking about, and better monitoring of these children. Is there some kind of collaboration with the FCT authorities on how to get that done? Under the FCT Education Secretariat, they also have a department that handles this and monitor the Almajiri schools. But what we've come to understand or see over the years is that most of these schools are meant to have a specific number of students. And FCT has become like an open place for them to come from other states to come and establish. And instead of you to, for example, if you are meant to have 50 students under your control, most of them bring in more than that number. And when you have excess number, the ability to manage them becomes difficult. And at the end of the day, these children now find themselves on the streets, living that system that ought to have helped them in improving their education, educational wise,
and coming to the streets to become beggars, then you now find out that they are mixing up people with evil intention and now are able to recruit them into criminal activities. And that is what the Honorable Minister FCT is against. He wants these children to get that knowledge, that education in that Almajiri school, and not them being recruited for criminal activity.
How is he going to get it done?
Yes, that is why this ministerial committee has been set up.
So the committee is still looking into
this. The committee is working around the clock, you know, and you should remember that the committee have the 6 area council chairmen involved. Yes. So it is an holistic committee. It's a holistic committee that are looking into how this Almajiri system will work better in the FCT and not what is seen.
The women beggars, because that painted kind of a bleak situation, a bleak picture.
That's true.
The idea that these people, these women who carry babies and beg at every traffic light and every joint and every restaurant, the fact that when you get them, you take them to Buhari Area Council, to the rehabilitation center.
Yes.
After the rehabilitation, you send them back to their hometowns, and then they come back to the FCT. It does feel like it's a step forward and several steps backwards.
Well,
what's been done about that?
Well, one thing I want to let you know is that the Social Development Secretariat are also reviewing the way they operate,
okay,
so that they can be able to curtail those that have been sent back to their states and having access into the FCT. And you should also know that most of these people come in the guise of other menial jobs. They don't come telling you that they are coming to beg. But before you know, they go into that on the street and start begging and become, you know, nuisance to the society. But the FCT administration has been able to create a platform for them to be rehabilitated and for them to learn a vocation. And I wish and we desire that they will key into this, because it's not all about going out to the street. When you go out to the street there, your safety cannot be guaranteed.
Well, you see, that's not the thinking, is it? What they're looking at is how much money they can make in
a
day.
How much money you can make in a day is not as worthy as the safety of your life.
You know, the FCT is filled with very generous people.
We know that.
When you see a woman carrying a baby at the traffic light, you give her something, you know. So I'm sure I can imagine the KPI.
But do you know that? In the minds
of this, they will be calculating how much money they can make in a day. How is your federal rehabilitation center? I've asked you this before. Yes. How is this rehabilitation center going to beat someone that makes an average of 50,000 a day?
But again, let me tell you something here. Do you know that some of those children they carry is not even their own biological children?
Yeah, we are aware. It's a business, isn't it?
It's a business.
For a lot of them, it's a business. So my point is, if someone is running a business that earns them 50,000 at least in a day, how are you going to compete with that with your rehabilitation center that's going to teach them how to make chin-chin and popcorn?
But one thing you should know is that there's always dignity in labor. When you go into vocation rightly, you will realize that at the long run, they will even make more than that 50,000 naira they think they've been able to achieve. Because the Social Development Secretariat, in conjunction with the Women Affairs Secretariat of the FCT, will create a better platform for them to excel economically. You know.
Well, I wish you all the best. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Peter Olumuji, for being with us on Dateline Abuja, and good luck.
Thank you for
having me. With all the work
you
have ahead of you. Thanks to my guest and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. Join this conversation and let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screens. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Magwa. See you next time.